Joe Biden is on the hot seat after releasing his apology on Twitter.
Hospitals in Venezuela are enduring warlike conditions. More on those details coming up.
And hip-hop fans are mourning a beloved rapper. We'll break down the Nipsey Hussle murder for you.
Your spring weather forecast is also on the way in weather. Newscene starts now.
Good evening, and it's my favorite part of the week. It's Friday. My name is Jesus Lopez.
I'm Ayo Elise, and welcome to this week's News Scene.
Now, in serious news, Joe Biden is making headlines after several women accuse him of inappropriate behavior. Former Vice President Joe Biden is responding to criticism after several women accused him of inappropriately touching them. Biden is responding with a video on Twitter, saying he is aware that social norms are changing.
The boundaries of protecting personal space have been reset, and I get it. I get it. I hear what they're saying. I understand it. And I'll be much more mindful. That's my responsibility. My responsibility, and I'll meet it. But I'll always believe governing, quite frankly, life for that matter, is about connecting with people. That won't change. But I will be more mindful and respectful of people's personal space. And that's a good thing.
The accusations against Biden come as he is deciding if he should run for president in 2020. Fellow Democrats believe the accusations don't disqualify him from the race.
Qualifying is with what your intention is. I do think this about communication in general, beyond this. I'm a member of the Straight Arm Club. I mean, I'm a straight armor. And all of this. Just pretend you have a cold and I have a cold.
Biden is expected to make an announcement about his plans later this month. We shall see how this could impact his potential bid for president.
Congress is putting pressure on Attorney General William Barr to release the full Mueller report. The special counsel and Democrats are frustrated over the 4-page summary sent to Congress 2 weeks ago. According to reports, Barr, not Mueller, decided there was not an obstruction of justice. Today, the Department of Justice supported Barr's 4-page summary. Democrats made it very clear they want to hear directly from the special counsel on the report.
In more political turmoil, President Donald Trump is fighting against providing additional aid to Puerto Rico. In the wake of 2 hurricanes, Puerto Rico has been in dire need of disaster relief. The territory has been allocated $40 billion in relief aid, but the president is falsely claiming that it has already received over $90 billion. Only a quarter of the funds allocated have actually been dispersed. Trump continues to blame Puerto Rico's leadership for the island's slow recovery and continues to downplay the severity of the damage caused by the hurricanes.
Such a shame. After a countrywide blackout last month, public hospitals in Venezuela are suffering. The fate of hundreds of patients are unknown. Doctors, nurses, and patients are enduring what is being described as war conditions. A Venezuelan mother shared the reality of many in her country who are struggling to survive.
Natalia Roja gave birth in early March during the country's first nationwide blackout. Her daughter, she is not named, is feverish and suspected of having meningitis, but a definitive answer on her condition cannot be known, with labs and medical equipment out of operation for months. There is no sanitation, no water, little power, and shortages in medicine and supplies. In the U.S., Venezuelan nationals can't imagine the patient suffering. She says her home country needs peaceful intervention for those in need.
I do think that there does need to be continued aid being sent into the country. And I do wish that there was more intervention on part of the UN.
When citizens reach out to request aid, President Nicolás Maduro disapproves. Dr. Alejandro Crespo was fired and authorities attempted to arrest him after he met with the UN to bring attention to the conditions.
You can ask the mothers. and they're not gonna lie to you. They have their kids dying in a hospital bed because of lack of medicine, and they can do nothing.
Parents continue to plead for the health of their children as the political conflict in the nation continues. For Newscene, Yakira Delgadillo.
The Red Cross announced last week that it had received permission from Maduro's government and Juan Guaido to implement one of the biggest global relief campaigns known. It is expected to ease humanitarian emergency in the country.
And now in international news, the French government says that yellow vest protesters cannot be stopped by police. France's foremost legal authority has denied a measure that would allow police to ban individuals considered a threat by police. The measure was an attempt to minimize protest violence, but was criticized for targeting individuals and their personal rights. Protests against the government of French President Emmanuel Macron have lasted more than 4 months.
President Trump spent the day traveling Southern California to see what he claims to be the first part of his promised border wall. After landing in El Centro, the president visited the U.S.-Mexico border in nearby Calexico this afternoon. The Imperial Valley is the site of a recently installed stretch of border fence. It includes a plaque declaring the fence to be the first part of the border wall, although that section was originally ordered to be built back in 2009. Later today, he will travel to Los Angeles for a fundraiser. Tickets for that event start at $15,000.
$15,000 that could go into my college fund. Well, now in some lighter news, New Mexico is celebrating its Native American heritage by declaring Indigenous Peoples Day. On Tuesday, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham signed a bill to replace Columbus Day with a new holiday. New Mexico is home to 23 sovereign indigenous nations, and they are finally being recognized with this holiday.
A man fatally shot by police in San Isidro this week. There are more details on that coming up.
And the newly Padres star has hit his first homer. We have more in sports.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout.
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh.
It only takes a moment to make a moment.
Cheers.
Take time to be a dad today.
The man shot and killed by police in San Isidro trailer park after witnesses say he fired from an assault rifle has been identified. 50-year-old Alonso Cervantes was spotted with a weapon that looked like an AK-47 at a trailer park where he lived with his family. Police say Cervantes fired into the air and then in the direction of the police after they arrived on the scene. The name of the officer who fired the fatal shot has not been released. He has served on SDPD for over 2 years. No other residents of officers were injured, and the lockdown of a nearby school was lifted a short time later.
Now, more than 80 women are suing Sharp Grossmont Hospital, claiming they were secretly recorded while receiving medical care. A former anesthesiologist who claims he was among the first to complain about the recordings is also suing. According to Patrick Sullivan, recordings captured video of several women's faces and genitals while giving birth. Sullivan was forced to resign after the incident due to hospital intimidation. Lawyers for the patients say that as many as 1,800 women have been recorded in 3 private rooms from 2012 to 2013.
Truckers crossing the U.S.-Mexico border are waiting as long as 12 hours after border agents were transferred to focus on immigration duties. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security is sending 750 border protection agents to focus on asylum seekers along the U.S.-Mexican border. Truck drivers are complaining that the moves, which includes shutting down 2 of the 10 inspection lanes at the Otay Mesa port of entry, have resulted in longer waits. The longer waits mean drivers could be delayed in the reaching their destinations and face hefty fines.
Incredible. Well, life on this side of the U.S.-Mexico border is already a struggle for people who work here. And threats by President Trump to close the border are adding to the uncertainty. Many employees of local businesses are extremely worried about those who cross into the U.S. from Mexico to go to work. One local vendor says the last time there was a border shutdown, it affected his bottom line for nearly 2 weeks. The border was closed on November 25, 2018 for 5 hours. Officials reported the city of San Ysidro alone lost over $5 million on that single day alone.
Now we have some news in sports, and here's Joel with more.
Thank you. So, after 2 weeks of highs, lows, and plenty of Bus's bracket, thanks a lot, Duke, 4 teams will compete tomorrow in the NCAA Tournament's Final Four. Virginia will take on Auburn, while Texas Tech will take on Michigan State in Minneapolis. Virginia is the last number 1 seed team remaining in the tournament. For Auburn, it is their first appearance in the Final Four. The winner will play in Monday's national championship game. All 3 games will be airing on CBS. And in sad news, it was fun while it lasted. Fans of the Fleet, the Alliance of American Football has stopped playing after this Tuesday. Officials announced on Tuesday that league owner Tom Dundon was shutting down operations immediately. It is no surprise the league had been struggling to stay afloat since week 1. Dundon, who is also the owner of the NHL's Carolina Hurricanes, bought a majority of the league with a $250 million investment. Dundon, after a careful consideration, quote-unquote, made the decision to end the league before finishing the season. According to numerous sources on social media, employees, including players, are paying for their own plane tickets and other expenses to travel back home. Fans who bought tickets for next weekend's Fleet game can exchange their tickets with local lacrosse team the Seals for next Friday's game. For more information, visit their website at sealslax.com. The Padres finished their opening week on a positive note, winning 4 of their first 7 games against the San Francisco Giants and Arizona Diamondbacks. Manny Machado hit his first home run as a Padre in a win over the Diamondbacks on Wednesday. The Padres head on their first road trip of the season, visiting the St. Louis Cardinals this weekend. The teams were originally scheduled to begin the series yesterday, but the game was rescheduled due to rain. And the Bolero Texas Open teed off yesterday. It was great weather in San Antonio to play the Open. The South Korean Si-Woo Kim would start red hot with 2 straight birdies after only 3 holes. He would end the leader of the day with 6 under par. Ricky Fowler, who started from the back, excuse me, 9 would birdie the 11th hole with this long approach. Then the Murrieta California native on the 5th would nail this long putter. At the end, Ricky would finish the day tie 16 with 4 under par. The Bolero Open is a great open for great tournament players to prepare themselves for the upcoming major, the Masters. Although some players like Tiger Woods did not attend the Open, he has never played a week before the Masters that starts next Thursday. And that is all for sports. Back to you at the desk.
Now, coming up in entertainment, find out which famous circus is going to be playing in our town. Are you excited?
I'm excited. I want to know who is playing in our hometown. An American tourist and her driver have been kidnapped by 4 gunmen while on a safari in Uganda National Park. 35-year-old Kimberly Sue Endicott from Costa Mesa was kidnapped along with her Uganda driver. Authorities say the kidnappers used Kimberly's phone to negotiate a $500,000 ransom, but police say they will not pay it. All border exits around Uganda have been closed. American travelers in the area are being warned to be careful.
Of course. A South Carolina college student is dead after mistaking her alleged killer's car for an Uber. 24-year-old Nathaniel Rowland is facing murder and kidnapping charges in the death of Samantha Josephine. Police identified Rowland's vehicle from surveillance cameras showing Josephine's enter his car early Friday morning. Police are reminding users to be extremely careful and cautious, and please pay special attention to the driver and the vehicle that appear in your app.
Very scary times. Yeah, hip-hop fans are mourning a beloved rapper. We'll break down the Nipsey Hussle murder for you.
Nipsey Hussle was gunned down Sunday in the Hyde Park area of Los Angeles in front of his clothing store, The Marathon. The 33-year-old rapper, born Ermias Asghedom, was nominated for Best Rap Album at the 2019 Grammy Awards. Hussle was vocal about being a Rolling 60s Crip in his youth and was involved in a number of community improvement projects. His death came one day before a scheduled meeting with city officials to discuss more ways to empower youth and prevent gang violence.
He called for peace. He called for justice. He was a champion to the underserved. He was a role model to our youth. You don't understand what he meant to him.
He was willing to partner to bring things to this community that we are now going to lose.
Crowds gathered Monday to pay the respect, but a disturbance caused a sudden mass panic that injured more than a dozen mourners.
Absolutely chaotic. Mass panic.
Absolute worst way to pay back Nipsey's loss. Somebody we lost at the hands of violence is with more violence.
Tuesday, officials remembered the rapper's legacy, asked the community to not escalate violence, and named the suspect 29-year-old Eric Holder. Holder was arrested in an LA suburb for the murder. Nipsey Hussle will be missed by his girlfriend, actress Lauren London, their daughter, and children they were raising from previous relationships.
Excellent reporting. Thank you. Now, why don't we go ahead and toss to more entertainment news? Let's find out what beer, circus, and music festivals are heading our way. Sarah, what's new with entertainment?
Thank you, guys. The Museum of Beer will open in San Diego's East Village in the spring of 2020. San Diego is already known as America's hoppiest city and craft beer mecca. Now the Museum of Beer plans to be the welcome center for those tourists who are interested in San Diego beer scene. The museum will feature a non-brewery to produce beer in small batches for the guests. It also have a virtual reality-based exhibit that will allow visitors to experience the brewing. The guests may even design their own beer cans and purchase them in the gift shop. The world's largest and most famous circus company, Cirque du Soleil, is back in town with one of its shows, Volta. Volta follows the tale of Baz, who enters a game show in search of fame, but instead finds himself something else, something better. The dazzling show features extreme sports like BMX and parkour, alongside more traditional circus acrobatics. Volta will run in Del Mar Fairgrounds until May 5th, and is definitely something to see for those you who are interested in a physical thrill and is finding out the peak of human potential. If you're a fan of Swedish group ABBA, you will love this news. After being split up for 35 years, sorry for the difficulty techniques. After being split, ABBA, the group that is famous for such hits as Waterloo and SOS, finally reunited. They also announced the release of new songs in September. The quartet's new songs are called I Still Have Faith in You and Don't Shut Me Down. The songs it will perform the group Digital Cells in the TV special. Also, a Nava tribute band, arrival from Sweden, will play in San Diego's Amici Park next month. That's it for entertainment. Let's back to the desk.
Well, spring is in the air, and we'll find out if we have some showers coming up, but that will be on weather.
Looking forward to it. Well, I know I'm looking forward to some nice spring weather.
Well, I hope we do have that nice spring weather because the weekend is heading in just a couple of hours. We'll have Saturday here already.
Right?
Yeah, I know. So we have to make those plans.
Exactly. A little bit of Friday to get into the Saturday.
Yay!
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
The Food and Drug Administration is investigating a link between vaping and seizures. No laughing matter. The FDA is reviewing 35 cases where the users of e-cigarettes had seizures. While nicotine is known to cause seizures, the FDA is unclear if the direct link is between vaping and seizures. The FDA is still gathering information and is asking those who experience seizures while vaping to report it to the FDA's website. Now, it looks like it might be a little cloudy out there.
Yeah, it will be a little cloudy. We possibly may see some rain, but that's not up to me to tell you. Brian has the details for that.
That's right. April showers bring May flowers, but the super blooms are already in effect. Just look at these cherry blossoms on the campus of University of Washington. And in San Diego, the rain begins to slow in April. Today's forecast is typical for this time of year. Regionally, we are also experiencing typical weather, as you can see. And just north of us, a major storm is brewing in the Pacific, and this massive system will hit Northern California and Oregon. Just check this massive system out. And as it moves across the country, it's going to bring with it high winds, severe thunderstorms, and possible blizzard conditions to the heartland here. And if you look over in the East Coast here, up in Maine, they've had 12 feet of snow already this year. And in the Carolinas, there might be snow coming up from a nor'easter that's already touching down. Now, let's move on to our 8-day forecast. If you check this out, it's typical San Diego weather. Tomorrow, Saturday, we might experience some slight showers in the morning like we did experience today, but then it's sunshine and great weather heading through the week into next week, and Friday, look at that, maybe some more rain. But those April showers again. And if we look at this picture, it shows a meteor. And meteorologists, right, studying meteors. Now, in other space news, SpaceX just announced that it will be launching the biggest rocket to launch since 1973. It is called its Falcon Heavy Duty rocket, and it's in Cape Canaveral. Oh, I'm in the rocket trajectory now. And if we move on, researchers are now forecasting that this hurricane season is going to be a lot less powerful than last season. They're anticipating 5 hurricanes instead of 8 hurricanes like we experienced this year. Whoa, I gotta get out of the way there. And finally, a beach on one of Spain's Canary Islands is littered with plastic. Look at all this plastic. Isn't this ridiculous? And according to the World Economic Forum, there are 150 million tons of plastic in our oceans, and 8 million tons are added each year. And that is expected to triple by the end of next decade. What are we going to do with all this plastic? And plastic is also choking marine wildlife, and it's making its way into our food. Ugh. But that's it for weather. Back to you at the desk.
Well, thank you so much, Brian. That was a great report. Now, let's get into this. Now, how much do you love your pets, or as many owners call them, their fur babies?
I love mine so much.
San Diego Humane Society President and CEO Gary Weissman has written a book about the proper care for pets. The book is meant to guide owners to give their pets the best care possible, free from anxiety, fear, and discomfort. In an interview with KPBS, Weissman said that San Diego is the most pet-loving area in the United States.
It sure is.
So tell me about your fur babies.
Well,
do you call them your fur babies?
Yeah, my fur baby, her name is Mira. It's Spanish term for look. So what she knows is Mira. No, because she's still a puppy, so I have to keep her, you know, on a strict regimen kind of thing.
Gotta keep it together.
Gotta keep it together,
Gotta be a good fur dad.
But you have 2 of them too.
Yes, I have 2 little kittens. They're so adorable. Yeah, Tony and Larita, or Larry for short.
Oh, I love it.
I know, we're corny. All right, so that's it. That's all we have for this week's edition of Newscene. I'm Irie Lees.
I am Jesus Lopez, and we wish you the best weekend. The weather is really nice to have any parties. You have the Circus today in town. You have the Super Blooms happening.
So much.
The weather is shaping up amazing. Clear skies. I mean, what is not to do in San Diego or sunny San Diego?
I agree. Sunny San Diego is right. And I'll tell you what, that Cirque du Soleil, did you see that footage?
I know. I wish I can be contortionist, but not.